The 59th Annual Grammy Awards brought a pair of sweeps, a likely one for a dearly departed star, a surprise for the reigning queen of pop, and more performances than anyone will likely remember tomorrow, as she did in 2012. Adele swept her general category nominations, the night's headline trophies, but 5 years ago she wasn't up against what many considered to be one of the year's most definitive and universally lauded pieces of work: Beyoncé's Lemonade. Beyoncé has never won either Record or Album of the Year. Adele is the first to twice sweep the Album, Record and Song of the Year awards. As she accepted the penultimate award of the night, for Record of the Year, Adele looked at Beyoncé and said, "You move my soul every single day." Beyoncé didn't make it out of the front row of the audience for the 3 final awards of the night, and Adele would be back to the stage moments later to accept Album of the Year for 25 as well, upsetting Lemonade. Adele herself admitted Lemonade was a monumental work and mentioned being unable to accept the Album of the Year award before accepting it. By the numbers, the night's other big winner was David Bowie, who posthumously took every award he and package designer Jonathan Barnbrook was nominated for, including Best Rock Song and Best Rock Performance for his deeply affecting and pre-eulogistic Black Star from the album of the same name, which won Best Alternative Music Album, Best Recording Package and Best Engineered Album. The arrival of the night went to Chance the Rapper, the Chicago-born rapper who has shepherded his career independent of the major label system. Chance won for Best New Artist, and thankfully ignored the show's Get Off the Stage music while accepting the night's first trophy, later winning the award for Best Rap Album for Coloring Book. He somewhat notably gave a shout-out to German-based streaming company SoundCloud, not Apple Music, which paid him a fair chunk of change for a window of exclusivity for Coloring Book. Independent is as independent does. More than most years, a black cloud whirled over this year's Grammys, the show's 59th iteration, and one that followed a year of remarkable loss for popular music after the deaths of Prince, Leonard Cohen, George Michael, Merle Haggard and many others. But also a year that began amidst a deeply polarized political climate, one that many artists, we can reliably assume, Madonna, for sure, are lamenting. Ahead of the telecast, many wondered whether the Grammys would get political. One only needed to look to Kendrick Lamar's performance last year for the answer. Regardless of longtime producer Ken Ehrlich's pre-show diplomacy, Jennifer Lopez was the first of the night to make a statement, however oblique, saying, "At this point in history, our voices are needed more than ever," before quoting from Toni Morrison's essay, "No place for self-pity, no room for fear." Katy Perry, who stumped for Hillary Clinton, ended a performance of new single, Chained to the Rhythm, bathed in a projection of the preamble to the Constitution, a gesture that seemed less overtly political than one that simply acknowledged politics exist. Orange is the New Black's Laverne Cox, introducing Metallica and Lady Gaga's fiery performance of Moth into Flame, referenced the upcoming Supreme Court hearing of a case centering around students' right to use bathrooms that correspond with their gender identity. Even Recording Academy President Neil Portnow, who generally steers clear of even a whiff of politics, jumped into the fray, if meekly. Portnow referenced the things, music principally, we can assume, that bring us together and help to cohere our more perfect union. Then, more customarily, Portnow called for reforms to the consent decrees which dictate songwriter remuneration and copyright laws that regulate usage of music. Even Johnny Walker, in a Late Show ed., got Chicano Batman to sing "This Land Is Your Land," touching on Trump's executive order around immigration. Solange, who made NPR Music's favorite record last year, introduced A Tribe Called Quest, who alongside Anderson, .Paak and Busta Rhymes, performed a medley that kicked off with "Can I Kick It" before Busta Rhymes popped up to President Agent Orange and his unsuccessful attempt at a Muslim ban, then moving into "We the People" from Tribe's newest record, "We Got It From Here." Thank you for your service. Q-Tip ended the utterly monumental performance with repeated calls to resist. It was the most fervently and successfully political presentation of the night. Not to be outdone, Beyoncé meteored a crater of personal and political empowerment. Her mother, Tina Knowles, introduced a reliably gargantuan and beautifully produced performance, which began with the rhetorical question, "Do you remember being born?" The production design referenced the Virgin Mary, Cleopatra and Queen Elizabeth I, with little singing for a text. The production design referenced the Virgin Mary, Cleopatra and Queen Elizabeth I, with little singing for an extended period of time before Beyoncé settled into a pillowy rendition of Love Drought and Sandcastles. There, too, were the flowers that accompanied that now famous Instagram post. As my colleague Rodney Carmichael wrote, "This is full-on #Black Woman Magic. There is a curse," Beyoncé whispered in a pre-taped voiceover, "that will be broken, now that reconciliation is possible. If we're gonna heal, let it be glorious." Later, accepting the award for Best Urban Contemporary Album for Lemonade, she said her work seeks to confront issues that make us uncomfortable. "It's important to me to show images to my children that reflect their beauty." Sturgill Simpson, backed by Daptone Records' house band the Dap Kings, and, it seemed, a few friends, delivered arguably the most purely perfect musical performance of the night, singing All Around You with striking commitment. Equally striking was Bruno Mars' Late Show tribute to Prince, which began with the indelible prayer of "Dearly Beloved" and ended with Mars ripping a nearly Prince-worthy guitar solo. There were flubs. Adele stopped her tribute performance of George Michael's Fast Love as it was getting going, swearing and apologizing before jumping back into the 1996 hit. "I don't want to do this like last year," she said, referencing the broken piano of 2016. The song choice was semi-appropriately elegiac, though didn't engage with the unbridled joy of Michael's best work. As for the rest, a mildly disappointing performance of "Hello" from Adele, who opened the show just prior to a very brief bit of slapstick and rapping that served as host James Corden's introduction. There was a surprisingly sharp turn from previously stilted performer The Weeknd, with assistance from Daft Punk, an 80s synth gem straight out of Top Gun, Carrie Underwood and Keith Urban performing "The Fighter," and a bizarrely empty new reggaeton by way of Bon Iver song from Ed Sheeran, Neil Diamond, Keith Urban, Faith Hill, Jennifer Lopez, Tim McGraw and Jason Derulo sang "Sweet Caroline" with Corden in a makeshift iteration of the "Carpool Karaoke" segments on his late-night show. Diamond looked, perhaps was, a little lost. Katy Perry's performance perhaps unintentionally referenced the mirrored picket fence sculpture by Allison Schatz at upstate New York Sculpture Park. Storm King, Gary Clark and William Bell, who won for Best Americana Album, performed the blues standard "Born Under a Bad Sign," written by Bell and Booker T. Jones and first recorded by Albert King in 1967 for Stax Records. The show remained as reliably corrugated as ever, as it will until entropy catches up with it. Looking to the Grammys for substantive, not glancing, engagement with challenging times, as Ann Powers addressed recently, is a waste of time. The show is comfort food, delivering the same faces, the same voices, the same melodies and shimmering gowns. Perhaps next year, when the awards return to New York for the first time since 2003. The show will let itself change as much as the world around it has. But probably not. Here's the full list of winners. Album of the Year 25. Adele Record of the Year, Hello. Adele Song of the Year, Hello. Adele and Greg Kurstin Best New Artist Chance the Rapper Best Pop Vocal Album 25. Adele Best Traditional Pop Vocal Album Summertime. Willie Nelson sings Gershwin. Willie Nelson Best Pop Solo Performance, Hello. Adele Best Pop Duo, Group Performance, Stressed Out. 21 Pilots Best Country Album A Sailor's Guide to Earth. Sturgill Simpson Best Country Solo Performance, My Church. Maren Morris Best Country Duo, Group Performance, Jolene Feet. Dolly Parton. Pentatonix Best Country Song, Humble and Kind, Lori McKenna. Songwriter, Tim McGraw. Best Rock Album, Tell Me I'm Pretty. Cage the Elephant. Best Rock Song, Black Star, David Bowie. Best Rock Performance, Black Star, David Bowie. Best Alternative Music Album, Black Star, David Bowie. Best Metal Performance, Dystopia, Megadeth. Best Urban Contemporary Album, Lemonade, Beyoncé. Best Rap Album, Coloring Book, Chance the Rapper. Best Rap Song, Hotline Bling, Aubrey Graham and Paul Jeffries. Songwriters, Drake. Best Rap Performance, No Problem, Chance the Rapper, feat. Lil Wayne and 2 Chainz. Best Rap Song Performance, Hotline Bling, Drake. Best R&B Album, Layla Hathaway Live, Layla Hathaway. Best R&B Song, Lake by the Ocean, Hod David and Mush. Songwriters, Maxwell. Best R&B Performance, Cranes in the Sky, Solange. Best Traditional R&B Performance, Angel, Layla Hathaway. Best Comedy Album, Talking for Clapping, Patton Oswalt. Best Spoken Word Album, In Such Good Company, 11 Years of Laughter, Mayhem, and Fun in the Sandbox, Carol Burnett. Best Folk Album, Undercurrent, Sarah Yarosh. Best Americana Album, This Is Where I Relive, William Bell. Best American Roots Song, Kid Sister, Vince Gill. Songwriter, The Time Jumpers. Best American Roots Performance, House of Mercy, Sarah Yarosh. Best Regional Roots Music Album, Iwilaya, Kalani Pea. Best Bluegrass Album, Coming Home, O'Connor Band with Mark O'Connor. Best Reggae Album, Ziggy Marley, Ziggy Marley. Best Surround Sound Album, Doodle-O, Sir Lomi McCord. Less citations, Mr. Dalen Staunton Timbers, Espace Movement, Alexander Lepay and Dimitri Lepay. Surround Mix Engineers, Dimitri Lepay. Surround Mastering Engineer, Dimitri Lepay. Surround Producer, Ludovic Morlot and Seattle Symphony. Best Traditional Blues Album, Porcupine Meat, Bobby Rush. Best Contemporary Blues Album, The Last Days of Oakland, Fantastic Negrito. Best Contemporary Instrumental Album, Culcha Vulcha, Snarky Puppy. Best Dance Recording, Don't Let Me Down, feat. Thaya, The Chainsmokers. Best Dance Electronic Album, Skin Flume. Best New Age Album, White Sun 2, White Sun. Best Improvised Jazz Solo, I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry, John Schofield. Soloist. Best Jazz Vocal Album, Take Me to the Alley, Gregory Porter. Best Jazz Instrumental Album, Country for Old Men, John Schofield. Best Large Jazz Ensemble Album, Presidential Suite, 8 Variations on Freedom, Ted Nash Big Band. Best Latin Jazz Album, Tribute to Ira Carey, Live in Marciac, Chucho Valdez. Best Gospel Performance Song, God Provides, Tamala Man, Kirk Franklin. Songwriter. Best Contemporary Christian Music Performance Song, Thy Will, Hillary Scott and the Scott Family, Bernie Herms, Hillary Scott and Emily Weiss Band. Songwriters. Best Gospel Album, Losing My Religion, Kirk Franklin. Best Contemporary Christian Music Album, Love Remains, Hillary Scott and the Scott Family. Best Roots Gospel Album, Hymns, Joey plus Rory. Best Latin Pop Album, Un Besito Más, Jesse and Joy. Best Latin Rock, Urban or Alternative Album, Inevitable, El. Best Regional Mexican Music Album, Un Azteca and El Azteca, Volume 1, and Vivo, Vicente Fernandez. Best Tropical Latin Album, Donde Están, Jose Lugo and Guasabara Combo. Best World Music Album, Sing Me Home, Yo-Yo Ma and the Silk Road Ensemble. Best Children's Album, Infinity Plus One, Secret Agent 23. Skidoo. Best Historical Album, The Cutting Edge 1965 1966, The Bootleg Series, Volume 12, Collector's Edition, Steve Berkowitz and Jeff Rosen. Compilation producers, Mark Wilder. Mastering Engineer, Bob Dylan. Best Instrumental Composition, Spoken at Midnight, Ted Nash. Composer, Ted Nash Big Band. Best Arrangement, Instrumental or A Cappella, You and I, Jacob Collier. Arranger, Jacob Collier. Best Arrangement, Instruments and Vocals, Flintstones, Jacob Collier. Arranger, Jacob Collier. Best Recording Package, Black Star, Jonathan Barnbrook. Art Director, David Bowie. Best Box Store Special Limited Edition Package, Edith Piaf 1915–2015. Gerard Lowe Monaco. Art Director, Edith Piaf. Best Album Notes, Sissel and Blake Sing Shuffle Along. Ken Bloom and Richard Carlin. Album Notes Writers, U.B. Blake and Noble Sissel. Best Remixed Recording, Tearing Me Up, RAC Remix, Andre Allen Anjos. Remixer, Bob Moses. Best Engineered Album. Classical, Corigliano, The Ghosts of Versailles, Mark Donahue, Fred Vogler and David L. Williams. Engineers, James Conlon, Wanchun Yu, Joshua. Best Engineered Album, Non-Classical, Black Star, David Bowie, Tom Elmhurst, Kevin Killen and Tony Visconti. Engineers, Joe Laporta. Mastering Engineer, David Bowie. Producer of the Year. Non-Classical, Greg Kurstin. Producer of the Year. Classical, David Frost. Best Orchestral Performance, Shostakovich, Under Stalin's Shadow, Symphonies Nos. 5, 8 and 9, Andres Nelsons. Conductor, Boston Symphony Orchestra. Best Opera Recording, Corigliano, The Ghosts of Versailles, James Conlon. Conductor, Joshua Guerrero, Christopher Maltman, Lucas Meacham, Patricia Rissette, Lucy Shelfer and Guanchun Yu. Blantonal Spa. Producer, LA Opera Orchestra, LA Opera Chorus. Best Choral Performance, Penderecki conducts. Penderecki, Volume 1, Krzysztof Penderecki. Conductor, Heinrich Wojnarowski. Choir Director, Nikolai Didenko, Agnieszka Relis and Johanna Rusanen. Warsaw Philharmonic Orchestra. Warsaw Philharmonic Choir. Best Chamber Music, Small Ensemble Performance, Steve Reich. Third Coast Percussion. Best Classical Instrumental Solo, Doherty. Tales of Hemingway, Zool Bailey, Giancarlo Guerrero. Conductor, Nashville Symphony. Best Classical Solo Vocal Album, Schumann and Burge. Thai, Dorothea Rashman, Matsuko Uchida. Accompanist, Shakespeare Songs. Thai, Ian Bostridge, Antonio Pipano. Accompanist, Michael Collins, Elizabeth Kenny, Lawrence Power and Adam Walker. Best Classical Compendium, Doherty. Tales of Hemingway, American Gothic, Once Upon a Castle, Giancarlo Guerrero. Conductor, Tim Handley. Producer, Best Music Video, Formation, Beyoncé. Best Music Film, The Beatles, 8 Days a Week, The Touring Years. The Beatles. Best Song Written for Visual Media track from Trolls, Can't Stop the Feeling, Max Martin, Shellback and Justin Timberlake. Songwriters, Justin Timberlake, Anna Kendrick, Gwen Stefani, James Corden, Zooey Deschanel, Walt Thorne, Ron Funches, Caroline Held, Aino Jao, Christopher Mintz-Plasse and Kunal Nayyar. Best Score Soundtrack for Visual Media, Star Wars, The Force Awakens, John Williams. Composer, Best Compilation Soundtrack for Visual Media, Miles Ahead, Miles Davis and various artists, Steve Berkowitz, Don Cheadle and Robert Glasper. Compilation producers, Best Musical Theater Album, The Color Purple, Danielle Brooks, Cynthia Erivo and Jennifer Hudson. Principal soloists, Stephen Bray, Van Deen, Frank Filippetti, Roy Furman, Joan Raft, Scott Sanders and Jet Tolentino. Producers, Stephen Bray, Brenda Russell and Eli Willis. Composers, lyricists, New Broadway cast.